want to say thank you very much for having me out to discuss this today. I'm very excited to be here, a little nervous, but mostly excited. I'm here to present my idea, what I'm working on. I've deemed it GraysRx at this point. And I don't know if any of you have ever noticed this, but there's actually about 10 different ways, maybe more now, that you can order Domino's pizza. They made it so easy to the point where you can just say, hey Alexa, order pizza. Domino's shows up 30 minutes later. Well, the thing of it is, in my field in pharmacy, it can sometimes be a lot more complicated than that. And my goal is to make the whole medication management system basically as easy as it is to order Domino's pizza at this point in time. The team that we have put together, my name is James Gray, I'm the founder of it. I have a PharmD and I finished my MBA from SIU Edwardsville, just over the river. And then we have 2 individuals that are consulting on it as well. Between the collective, we have about 32 years of retail pharmacy experience between us. We feel we have a pretty good background and understanding of some of the different gaps that exist that we're trying to solve with this organization. What really kind of clicked for me, I'm a big fan of the David Rubenstein show, the Peer-to-Peer Conversations. And in a July episode, Steve Ballmer was on. And it's an episode I still watch probably a couple times a month because I love, like, they cut to the YouTube video where he's yelling, developers, and he's just firing everybody up. But he was talking about some of their shortcomings when he was CEO, and he was discussing Amazon's cloud services and how he didn't want to say he sold them short, but he anticipated that it was going to be more challenging for them to quote unquote learn a second trick. And the idea behind that is, for a major organization that is so good at doing certain things, sometimes it can be challenging to learn something totally new. And watching that kind of clicked with me, because I'm a pharmacy manager for one of the major chains, and then the others also work in the chains as well. Some things that we do wonderfully are come up with these wonderful innovations, but they never make it to the people, or they make it in a way that's very uneven from a user experience standpoint. And so when I watched that episode, watched it again, that's when it clicked for me that I think we have something here that can solve some of those issues. So basically what we want to solve, I don't know, I'm assuming some of you have probably been to a pharmacy at some point in time. It can be, again, an uneven experience. Sometimes there's long lines, and it's understaffed, it can be challenging. You get up there, it's not ready yet. There's a whole host of things that can go, not necessarily wrong, but wrong. I mean, you can spend a lot of time there, and it can just basically be an inefficient use of time. Coupled with that, our country has a huge problem with non-adherence to medication regimens. People will see physicians, they'll get diagnosed, they'll get prescriptions, and then they either don't fill the prescription or they don't stay with the regimen, which is detrimental to their health. And then there's also a number of barriers that exist for different people. I'm sure some of you have heard of the idea of food deserts, which is a lack of like grocery stores in certain areas. Well, everyone is relatively close to a pharmacy at this point in time, but there's still barriers to getting to the pharmacy. And that's one of the things that we think with the system that we're going to develop we can overcome. So what we're building, the idea is kind of pharmacy as a service, if you will. We want to develop a comprehensive platform that can target across a bunch of different components of the healthcare space. We initially think the spot that we would start with is like the individual market, which is marketing our services to just people in general. And then also the business space, which would help kind of cut down on some of the issues with like truancy and things like that. How we plan on doing it, it is a membership-based platform. We don't plan on like filling prescriptions per se being the primary driver of profit or revenue. Reason being, I mean, the major chains and the different people that do it are so efficient. There's been so much consolidation in the space that it's going to be even more challenging for individual pharmacies. But what we want to do is, again, fill the gaps, the things that they don't do well, and then more or less augment the services that they do. And we think with the membership, we can present the value to them that makes the membership worthwhile. It's going to basically be a web platform, application-based program. There's going to be on-site delivery, whether it be at the business, almost kind of parodying a Amazon Locker type system, or at the house, depending on how they want to schedule the delivery. And then what we, kind of our philosophy is, the things that we can do, we will do, and the things that we can't, we're just going to source to the companies that already do it and let them do it, and then just help them do it better, basically, is kind of the idea. So where we are now, I secured a domain name. We have revenue. I had a brilliant idea to try to sell t-shirts to raise money so that I could try to source like a basic app development that I could present to people. More or less, I was selling them to my family and friends, but some people bought it, so we do actually have positive revenue at this time. I have a storyboard for kind of the application design of what we're looking at, and we have a business plan in place, but as we develop this and learn and kind of done some different things, we have, I put an ish by it because things have changed as we've gotten more into it and trying to fine tune exactly which route we want to go. How the organization can help, the biggest thing that we have as an issue is we're very heavy on the pharmacy experience. We're very lacking in the tech side of things. And so pointing guidance in the direction of things that we can look at, things that we can use, people that can kind of guide us on our path would be very helpful at this point in time. Expertise in strategic business planning, and then taking the idea that we have and actually executing on it are all things that are still a little bit outside of what we have at this point in time. So those are kind of the big things that I have there.
Okay. Hold on. All right. So we have questions. Please wait for the microphone so that the camera can pick you up. Questions? Who wants to start?
So my main question is, how do you see this, how do you plan on monetizing this service?
Yeah, so a couple of different ways. So there's the individual thing, which is going to be so I guess taking a step back, like CVS, for example, has recently rolled out delivery services from their stores. Walgreens is doing something very similar to it. The problem that you run into, at least the problem I expect them to run into, is you have 18,000 pharmacies that are recreating the same work, right? And then that's creating delays in shipping, delays in different things, issues for them, basically. And it's an uneven user experience, which is a negative customer service situation. So what I'm trying to do is put together, at least initially, two fronts. One is on the individual side, where it's membership-based, and there'd be different tiers depending on what they want or need. And then also on the business side, where we would prefer to have this marketed as a perk. So when it comes to like open enrollment, or when it comes to times, it's something that we'd like to see offered, where either the business is going to pick up a portion of it and we'll service the business, we'll get the prescriptions, we'll bring it to them, we'll do whatever they basically need to do to manage it. To a certain extent, it's almost a logistics business. And then kind of go from there and expand as we get further along.
Sounds good.
Great presentation. I'm curious what you think the biggest obstacle for the client side of this is. What's going to keep people from opening up the app and actually using it?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that we struggled with. Initially, when we started discussing this, it started as just an application, right? And so then the question becomes, people tend to, there's Microsoft Health Vault, there's all sorts of different ones that have been put out there that just haven't, for whatever reason, gaining traction. And obviously we'd be competing against some pretty big names and that type of stuff. And so we kind of moved beyond just like the basic, hey, application, log up, and moved it into just we want it to be a comprehensive platform where it's helping, it's interacting, you schedule things, it notifies you, basically more or less of a prescription assistant, if you will, I guess is a good way to put it. And yet, if we can get people to that point, then it just becomes a part of what you do. And when it becomes a part of what you do, we think we can improve outcomes with health in general, but also just people getting their prescriptions and things like that.
Next question. I'm going to take the next question. You get? How are you getting around HIPAA? I mean, HIPAA and It seems like this is,
There would, so there would have to be a compliance side to it, obviously. There would have to be a compliance side to it, obviously. I mean, couriering medications isn't something that's unusual. There's a lot of people that, like JS, will pick up and courier stuff. So from that standpoint, it's not a deal breaker, but there would be a HIPAA compliance side of it that would be there.
And how do you plan on dealing with that?
Well, I mean, we do have some experience with what we do at CVS and with what others do at Walgreens with just the compliance side of it. There's the trainings, there's the classes, there's things like that. You have to keep the certifications active each year, and so that will be just something we have to do for employees.
have you envisioned the adoption both from the individual experience and then from the mass marketing concept? For example, the individual experience, so when the doctor says, what's my pharmacy, I say Gray's prescription. And then for the mass marketing adoption, what's your target demographic? Like, I don't use medications yet, but my parents use a few. So at what age do you want to start making this a normal cultural thing so that by the time they use medicine constantly, it's a accepted answer?
Yeah, no, of course. That's actually two great questions. So I'll probably take the second one first. An interesting thing, if you look at the medication data, obviously the older demographic uses the most. But the younger population surprisingly uses a fair amount of prescriptions at this point in time for a variety of different reasons. And so they're also, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, a little bit more tech savvy at this point in time. And so we think in targeting and helping them. So like an example of something we had thought about was like WashU, SLU, places like that. If we can work with the students to just take care of that part for them, then we think that there's an opportunity to lock them in, basically, so that they would appreciate the service, continue to use the service, and then as they progress through years and their medication needs increase, we would still be there for them, ideally. And so that's kind of, we think we have enough of a market just from individual prescriptions in that to make it work. And then once you can get some of the heavy medication users on, we think we can further take it from there as well. The other part with what pharmacy use, we're going to augment other people's, we're augmenting the systems that are already in place. And so when they say, what pharmacy do you want to send us to, you're still going to say, well, I have to use CVS or I have to use Walgreens, because they're all becoming more integrated with it, like CVS just bought Aetna. And it's going to further lock people into pharmacies. The patient choice is decreasing, unfortunately. They can claim otherwise, but we have a whole, we've had to transfer in all sorts of prescriptions because their preferred pharmacy was no longer a network, which is, I mean, it's good and bad. There's a lot of pros and cons on the side of it, but you will still use the pharmacy that's in network. We're just going to help try to take care of the rest of the stuff that we think the primary players don't do a very good job at, honestly.
What's your marketing plan?
Well, from the business side of it, pretty much, as far as I've got on it at this point in time, is going to be direct sales to try to get, to just try to get in and get people to adopt it from a business perspective. Truthfully, I don't know that I have a great answer to the individual side of it now. That's just being honest with you. I don't think I have that very well developed.
Yeah.
I don't think on the individual side of it I have it very well developed at this point in time.
So that should be one of your bullet points up there. Marketing help. If you don't have marketing, you have nothing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. You're trying to fill the gaps that the big guys aren't doing right now. How much of a market is there for that, for goodness sakes? I mean, right now, what would be my incentive to use you rather than to just have a friend go to CVS and pick something up for me? And most of the older people drugs are for chronic illnesses. They get that stuff in the mail.
Yeah, no, those are two excellent points. So I'll use kind of an example. So I have one of my regulars at the store. She is wheelchair bound, and her husband just passed away. She's in that demographic, and she called more or less in tears because she had no idea how she was going to get her medications. Her family doesn't live here, asking her friend to do it, her husband has issues and he might wander off. So there are people still that have barriers to getting the medication. And she and her son specifically would be very interested in this type of service. And so if you look at the number of prescriptions, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people that manage their medications great. And they use like the ready fill programs, they use the stuff that's already there. And maybe that's not necessarily a perfect match, but there's a whole lot of people out there that don't have the same opportunities to take advantage of those for a variety of reasons. And we think we can really solve some issues there. And then from the business side of it, when we do, that's going to increase script counts, at least for the pharmacies that partner with us. And it's going to increase, if we do our job well, we think we can increase their revenue, which in turn, hopefully, get them more excited about us as
Okay,
well.
so it sounds like you're looking at a niche market of disabled people that maybe don't have the same kind of healthcare coverage that others do. You may want to go find the organizations where they hang out.
Yeah, no, that's actually some fantastic advice. I kind of like, we think we can transition from niche to that. That was a specific example that I was giving of somebody that I think would be. But in general, I think that's a fantastic piece of advice.
You have a mobile app on the way, or?
See, that's where I was trying, no, honestly, at this point in time. We're still in the concept phase. I have a whole storyboard of what I want to design. I don't have anybody design it, and I tried to, that's where the t-shirt selling came in, was to try to raise money to either source it, research sourcing it out overseas, to just try to build something that I could bring to people to show them my idea, and I don't have it yet.
Okay. Congratulations, I found your website very fast and easy. It's GraysRx.com. And it looks nice. It looks very nice. You do mention that people can contact you there, and better yet, let us come to you, and you have a telephone number. Do you have a way they could sign up and subscribe or become a member on your website, or is it not quite?
I don't think that I have the services yet to get there. I would love to put it out there right now, but I don't think I could service anything well enough to actually accept money from people at this point in time.
How far are you from getting, I guess, the app up? That would be probably the first thing.
That would be the first thing, and that's kind of, I guess, between marketing and this, that's the part of it. More or less, that's kind of our next steps. We have what we want, we have our vision, and now we need help getting there, basically.
Do you have an amount of money you need from investors?
I do not have an estimated amount at this point in time.
Sounds like a great project.
Yeah.
I hope it works.
Hi, so could you go in a little bit more detail of the model of how this is going to be deployed? Because it looks like it's going to be a SaaS platform that's accessed both by an individual and by like a CVS, Walgreens, or even maybe like a WashU at a hospital or something like that. And if those are two models, how would the licensing structure work? And I guess following up with that, if it is going to be accessed by, let's say, or deployed by, let's say, an organization like WashU, let's say, are you then going to be working with personalizing the site so it actually looks like it's coming from them instead of from you? Sorry, a lot of questions.
No, that's awesome. I hadn't even thought about licensing stuff. See, how I kind of envision it working, this is just more from just my experiences. So I run a 24-hour CVS right now, and we're a little bit slower with a 24-hour, but ideally, if I can pull this off the way I hope I can, I would work with the stores that we would be picking up the people's medications from. That was more the route that I was thinking in terms of the partnership. I had not got into taking it to that level where the individual or the organization itself can pull into it. That's actually really interesting just from like a data collection standpoint. And so that's something that I think, well, honestly, like that's an amazing idea that I just hadn't even considered at this point in time. But my idea at the partnership was just basically we would pick the stores that have the spare capacity work with, like the CVS or the Walgreens, they would help us get the stuff ready so that we're not showing up at 8 a.m. being like, hey, I need these 60 prescriptions rung out, and then we would take care of the rest from there. That was the idea with partnership that I had. I used WashU and like SLU as an example as like the college students that are there, working with them to make sure, and truthfully, a lot of their parents to make sure that things are showing up and getting exactly where their kid needs it when they need it to help them be successful at school.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Oh, we got one more question. You got the final question.
Someone already mentioned this. So where do you fit in the world of Express Scripts?
Actually, I was thinking about this last night. I think I think if we do this, I think we can offer something for even a company like Express Scripts, because Express Scripts is fantastic. Like, they have their high volume fillers, and their error rates are ridiculously low. Like, they are, in my opinion, a fantastic organization. But they also struggle with, it's 2 to 3 days till it gets there. There's a host of people that don't necessarily, they get their stuff via the mail, but they don't necessarily appreciate it. So being in St. Louis, I think, presents a unique opportunity there, because they have their high volume fillers over on Hanley. And if we can come up with something to better service this market for them, I think that'd be a fantastic opportunity. Now, again, you're probably never going to overcome, like, just the people that are content, it just shows up in the mail. Like, there's people that have systems that work great. We think, initially at least, we can fix it for those that it doesn't necessarily work great for.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.